So this movie's pretty much a watered-down iRobot with a pregnant Chloe Grace Moretz who, as much as she tries to carry this film on her back, she just can't quite seem to because it's just too overwhelmingly heavy. Like, she gave a stunning performance, but it just wasn't enough to save this nonsensical abomination. This movie had a strong start, a very strong start, but quickly made a habit of cutting at the most exciting moments that should have been the most satisfying moments for the audience. They just completely cut it out. In the very beginning, when the androids like first start killing everybody, they just cut. They just pan to the sky and cut, and it's goes into like this jarring time skip of where she's already like 9 months pregnant, and it's it does that throughout the movie, throughout just like the 2 hours of gobbledygook that you're about to watch. And you're doing it with a co-star, with an amazing Chloe Grace Moretz, as I said, but her co-star, his performance is just so lackluster. It makes me feel so bad for Chloe because he's just like him. He's not even trying, and neither is this movie. So basically, it starts with this college couple at Chloe's parents' house, and they've just gone through like 3 pregnancy tests, and they're all positive. And so that was pretty much the introduction to these characters. It was pretty decent, and then they go downstairs, talk to Chloe's parents, and there's this guy that's handing them stuff. I was like, why doesn't Chloe just like go get that stuff? Because she keeps telling him to get stuff that's like right there, but it turns out it's a android, and they're like butlers. So, and he like glitches out, says it's Halloween instead of Christmas, and it was kind of haunting. And then they leave because they're going to this party, and she's about to take a shot, and then her boyfriend doesn't want her to because she's pregnant. And then there's also an android at this party and serving drinks, and they go up. Chloe goes upstairs, talks to her friend, tells her she's pregnant, and then out of nowhere, the android, like, they come downstairs, and the android has just like caused havoc, like so out of the blue, in like actually a good way. How it just like threw us into like so much chaos out of nowhere. Um, so that was happening. They go out into the street, and like I said, it's just pure chaos. Like androids just like killing people in their homes, like dragging people out, just murdering them in the most brutal way. And the friend makes like a phone call, and then her fucking phone like explodes, and like half her face like is blown off. And it was really crazy, really chaotic, really cool intro to a movie. Just very it definitely piqued interest. And then out of nowhere, it just pans up and cuts from that night completely. Like after the friend got her face blown off, it just pans up in the sky and cuts, and that's it. That's all we ever hear about that first night, by the way. That's the only time we ever get any information about that first night. We never see anything else about it. We never even get like reasoning to why like this is even happening. It's just like the androids went crazy, and like just cause they did. Like, we never got an explanation. So it cuts away from that and immediately just flatlines as a movie. It's like them camping in the woods, and she's like really pregnant, like she's pretty huge, like she's about to pop. And they find this outpost and they get tested to see if they're androids. It's like this syringe thing, it takes like 2 seconds. Remember that. It's the syringe thing that takes like 2 seconds, and it tests if they're androids or not. So they go into the compost, she sees a doctor, the doctor is like, you shouldn't be traveling, you should just stay here, but they're trying to get to Boston because apparently there are like boats that go to Korea, and apparently that's like robot free for some reason. So the doctor urges her to stay, but they don't want to have a baby because to get to Boston, you have to go through this place called No Man's Land, which I guess androids like completely control, and they don't want like a crying baby, they want to do it quietly. So they're talking about that, but the boyfriend really wants to go to Boston for some reason to like get this kid to the boat, and he doesn't really want to stay there, so he goes to the soldiers to like try and hitch a ride with the convoy to like get to Boston. And the soldier who'd been like eyeing him the whole time was like, well, you gotta fight me, you have to put me on my back, and then I'll give you a ride. And then he wasn't about to do it, but then the fight was like about to start, and then it just cuts. Like the fight completely cuts to the next morning. We don't see anything, and basically this the boyfriend beat the guy's ass, and we don't see a single second of it. Even though this guy's like military and way bigger, we don't get to see how the boyfriend actually like manages to take this guy down. And the boyfriend is just like handcuffed at the army tent, and the commander's like, oh, we can't have people roughing up our boys, you guys gotta go, I don't care if you're pregnant, you guys gotta go. So they leave the outpost and they find this house, and the boyfriend checks if it's alright, it's fine. And then Chloe is like, let's just stay here and have the baby here. And they agree, and then they go to sleep, but the boyfriend in the morning is like, nah, I don't really want to do that. We're on like the edge of no man's land, so I'm gonna fix this dirt bike and we're just gonna ride straight through no man's land where all the androids are. And Chloe doesn't like it, but it kind of makes sense because, I don't know, if they're really trying to get that baby to Boston, like they gotta have it's gotta be born in Boston basically, because it can't get past the androids, I guess. So they do that, they dirt bike through, and an android is like following them, and they're like super fast zombies, kinda, like they're like fast zombos, but they're androids obviously, but that's how they run. And it cut to one that was running, it was kinda scary and like building up tension, and then it just cuts again to them chilling down by the river. And then this other one shows up and like is watching them, and they have a dirt bike chase, and these like drones are like following them. And then they get separated. Sam's like, get off the bike, I'll try and outrun them, you just go that way. So she does that, and then she finds this weird guy that's like lives in the middle of the woods who told her to come with him, and she goes with him, and he's got like this backstory. Apparently he's like an AI programmer, and he had this kid that like the androids killed, so he wants to help Chloe, and he has this really ridiculous like suit of armor that looks like it's made out of like soda can tabs and zip ties, and it looks so freaking dumb and fake. And he like hands it to her. He's like, "Yeah, this will actually cloak you. I'm really smart and I know how the AI works, and this will actually cloak you." So they're holding him prisoner at this place. So you have to go get him with this armor. So she does that. She stealths through. There are only like 3 androids, but one of them has their face off, and it looks kind of cool. Like half their face is like ripped off. So she gets her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's legs are pretty much like bent, like completely, like bent sticks, or like a spoon after a psychic is done with it. So his legs are messed up. But they get him out of there. She puts one of the armor things on him, and by the way, it like works somehow. And then they leave. Oh, they're about to get caught, and then the weird guy shows up with like an AK-47 and kills the androids, and he loads them up in their truck, and they like dip, and then it cuts again. It cuts again after that as they get away, and it doesn't show them like going through the outposts or anything to get into Boston. So they're all in Boston in like the hospital, and she's talking to the military guy, and she's talking about the armor that cloaks people from androids, and he's like, "What? That technology doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense." And then it turns out that Arthur, the weird guy that gave her the armor, was actually an android. And for some reason, no one... remember those scans that like you just inject, and like 2 seconds it will tell if you're an android or not? No one does that at the gate. Like one of the nurses is about to do it, but you find out she's dead because Arthur killed her. But at the clearance gate, no one did that. And there was another device that checks if they're robots, and no one did that for him either. So I don't know how he was able to get through like this big checkpoint for a major city when that tiny little military outpost had, like, they were super cautious, didn't let the main characters through without one of those little injection things. So you don't really know how that happens. And then they have to like go shut off the EMP the androids do. And so that's what Arthur is trying to do for some reason, even though the androids pretty much swarm Boston anyway, so that doesn't really make sense. But so they had to amputate the boyfriend's legs because they were so messed up. So, oh, and Chloe's baby was born while she was knocked out. So she's born, she's carrying him to the EMP thing, and she like knows what switch it is somehow, and she like flicks it, and somehow that saves her. So she gets away with her boyfriend in a wheelchair. They get to the boat, and then they just give... The twist is like the boat, the Korean program to take the families, it like only works for the babies. Like they're only gonna take the children instead of the entire family, because it's like less mouths to feed or something. But also it's a North Korean program, so that's just like pretty iffy. And so they just like give their baby away basically, and it's like a sad moment, and you get that they're trying to like, they're trying to come across like she's making this big sacrifice so her baby has a chance at a better life, but she just gives her baby away pretty much to these strangers, and they go off on the boat to God knows where to do God knows what. And her boyfriend is like bleeding out, by the way, because he's not gonna make the amputation. So he bleeds out. She gives her baby away. She just walks away, and then these guys are like, "Hey, we're going to Portland. Are you coming to Portland?" And she's like, there's a flashback of her burning some pictures of her boyfriend, and she's about to burn one with her boyfriend and her kid, and then she doesn't. She's like, keeps it, and then she's like, yeah, I'll go to Portland. And then that's it. That's the whole movie. You don't get any insight into like the AI or the androids or anything. That's just how it ends. That's it. If I had to compliment this movie, it would again be the really strong start it had. It really had something, and I feel it actually really could have been something if the writer had given maybe another draft or two to this film. I think it would have been a lot better. And of course, Chloe's performance, amazing, absolutely amazing throughout the movie. Just, she is a great actress. Yeah, I think that's it.